Welcome back to the Positive Shift Summit with dozens of experts sharing insights on spirituality, transformation, and personal development. Your host for this session is Kimberly Crow. Kimberly is the creator of Entrepreneur's Rocket Fuel and the co-host of Speaker's Playhouse. She has another amazing guest coming right up. Take it away, Kimberly.
Well, hello, folks. I'm Kimberly Crow, and I am back. I'm excited to be talking with Renee Remy today. Renee is going to be talking about stop living your excuses and start living your truth. Welcome to the program, Renee.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. We know we've only had one speaker, but it's been great so far. So I'm excited about the rest of the day.
Well, we have a really, really huge lineup. So, and you are a great way to kick it off right after Justine talked about your inner voice. Really stop living your excuses and start living your truth is what Positive Shifts is all about. So I'm super excited to get you into this subject. But before we do, tell us how you became so passionate about this particular area.
Well, thank you so much for asking about that. When I was in high school, I just loved competing against this wonderful friend that I had. And we would always be competing to get the best grade in the class. And we were in honors classes. And one day we had this math test. It was so hard. And we came back, we got our grades. And I got 97% on my grade. So I'm like, so what did my girlfriend get? Well, she didn't get 97%. She got something much lower. And I was just like, oh, okay. Because I think she's the smartest, most brilliant person around. So then we start checking to see. It turned out that I had the highest grade in the class. And of course, she had the second highest grade in the class. But I'm just like, I got the highest grade this time. And I was so excited. And I took this home and I put it up on the refrigerator. And I just couldn't wait for my mother to get home so I could show her this test. And so she comes home and I say, look at this great test that I got. And so she looks at the test and she looks at me and she looks at the test again. And she looks at me and she says, just can't do anything perfect, can you? I was devastated.
Oh my gosh, Renee, ouch, that's gotta hurt.
And as it turns out, when we hear things like that have this deep emotional impact, those kinds of voices get embedded deeper into your soul, into your spirit than anything else, because it comes with this strong emotional impact. And over the years, as I continued to hear voices like this and attach them with great emotion, right? I started becoming a person that didn't want to do that well in certain things. Like I still wanted to do well, but I had these excuses why I couldn't do this and why I couldn't do that and why I couldn't do this. Because when I did it, who knows? I might not be loved. I might be told I didn't have value. And so I would hold myself back. I had one of my early clients once say to me, why are you the best kept secret? I'm like, yeah, he's right. I don't want to put myself out there. So my excuses changed the whole trajectory of my life and what I would do and what I would want to do. When I moved to this country and I went to this all-white high school, the first thing that they told me when it came time to apply to colleges and universities is that I couldn't go to college or university. And I didn't understand why they were saying it. And I said, well, what about this community college? Do you think I can get there? They're like, no, you can't even get into a community college. And I didn't understand why, but that's what they kept telling me. Well, as it turns out, I was visiting my cousin who was in the hospital having knee surgery. And he said, hey, did you apply to this university? And I'm like, no, I didn't think I could get into this university. I was like, you should really apply. I'm like, well, today's the deadline and I didn't apply already. And my mother goes, oh, but I have an application right here. They made me sit down on the hospital floor and fill out that application. When it came to writing an essay, I just went ahead and I just wrote a poem. And then it was like, now what do we do? And I was told, go to the student union and that's where you turn it in, because this day was the deadline. So we went around the building looking for an open door. My sister and I were looking for an open door, and we found this one open door. And now we're like, now where do we go? And we're like, well, there's a door up there. So we raced up the stairs, and we're just laughing and jostling, and we open this door, and we open up the door, and it opens up, and we fall down. We're rolling on the floor, and we're just laughing. And this woman comes up to it, and she goes, may I help you? And my sister's like, my sister wants to apply to the application. Well, it turns out it was the admissions office. They took my application and I got into Stanford University.
Wait, what university?
Stanford University.
Stanford University. This is an incredible story. Like, she was told she couldn't even get into community college because that was the storyline that had been given to her. It was somebody else's storyline, but she went for it, decided to go and apply anyway to Stanford University and was accepted into Stanford. Incredible, incredible story.
Now, I wouldn't have applied. I was told I couldn't. I accepted those excuses. I gave excuses to my cousin, but somebody else stopped all of those excuses. Well, we can't figure out what. I had excuses for not doing it. And yet I am so grateful that I had the opportunity. Now, when I got to Stanford, one of my challenges is that, okay, you've heard of imposter syndrome. I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. Right? I knew that this wasn't the place.
Right. Once you got there, because so many people said you weren't supposed to be there, that you still had that going on even after you were accepted. I believe that. I bet that's true. A lot of people go through that. Wow. If you can resonate with that, please put a note in the chat box like, oh yeah, or that's me, or I've been there. Because even after you get accepted, then you're like, well, should I really be here? They told me I couldn't. Really powerful stuff. Thank you for sharing. This is so insightful. Keep going. I don't want to interrupt.
Well, when you get those voices in your head that just tell you you can't, and you start listening to them, you come up with reasons why you can't. So for me, I felt like I had lived all my dreams. I'd done everything in life I wanted to do. So I kept asking the voices, what now? What now? And they said, there's nothing. So I attempted suicide.
Renee, seriously?
There was nothing left. Now, obviously, my work was thwarted. I do believe that God has a sense of humor. And he's like, no, this girl may think this, but I'm just not going to let her go too deep down these negative paths. But at the same time, we still hold ourselves back and we have these excuses, and we have to look at where these thoughts are coming from in order to shift them. Right. And so that's what got me passionate about really understanding the negative voices and the impact they have on our lives and how they switch our choices and change the trajectory of our lives.
Absolutely. So from the point where you were a Stanford University accepted student, were you already graduated from university?
Oh, no, that was my freshman year. My freshman year, I thought I was done. I went and I got a couple more degrees from Stanford, and there's a whole lot of other stories, but yeah.
So
no.
Your freshman year, after you were accepted because of imposter syndrome, you really thought you were done and attempted suicide. Thank God you were not successful. And then being able to step out of that and move forward and get a degree and then get advanced degrees as well. What a powerful, powerful story. So how was it? How did you make the shift to stop living your excuses and start living your personal truth?
Well, the interesting thing is that this is an ongoing habit that we have to form, because when our excuses are so deeply embedded, like my excuses were so deeply and are so deeply embedded, that once I reach to a new level, I find that negative voice like pops up in a new way. And so what I found is the first step is really kind of understanding where that negative voice is coming from and understanding the lies of that negative voice.
Mm.
Because sometimes we go, oh yeah, that's a negative voice and blah, 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 blah. And so I'm just going to do some affirmations and ignore the voice. Well, I believe affirmations are great. And I believe that when you do affirmations, you need to do them with physicality, right? To
Oh,
help
okay. All
embody
right.
them,
To
right?
shake
In
it
your
up. Okay.
spirit. Yeah, because our negativity is embodied in our spirit. We've been living with those excuses for so long. We've been creating this big, huge, strong muscle to do what the negative voice says. And in order to combat that, we've got to start building the muscle to stop doing, yeah, what
Okay.
the
Good.
negative
Stretch
voice is,
out of it. Okay. All right. I feel that.
right? So with affirmations, I believe in them. I believe you do them with physicality. And we also need to be aware of what that negative voice is truly saying to us, because once we create awareness, we can't go back. Maya Angelou said, do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better.
I love that. So powerful. Don't just go back to what you were doing before. Now you know better. Now do better.
Right. And so sometimes it's difficult for us to figure out how to know better. And so I have studied like the Enneagram, positive intelligence by Shirzad Chamine, different disciplines that help us understand these negative voices and the lies that they're telling us. And so when you get that, you can start to go, oh, this is the negative voice and this is the lie, right?
Mm.
One of the top things that we do that we oftentimes don't look deeper into is judging. We judge others, we judge our circumstances, we judge ourselves. Oh my goodness, how we judge ourselves, right? And when we go through all that judgment, right, that judgment has behind it that fear that we have, that negative voice kind of peeping up and going, okay, make that outside you negative or make this negative, right? Because that is the voice. I know that we spoke once and you had this great example. I can't remember what it was. I don't know if you remember it was. I think it was a shopping example. But I'll just tell you one of my examples. So I told you I love to be challenged, to be able to do my best, and yet sometimes I hold back because of this negative voice. So one of the negative voices is called, in positive intelligence world, in Enneagram it's a 7, and you're restless and all that stuff. But in the positive intelligence world, it's also called restless. And I like to use the saboteur names from positive intelligence because they just make sense, right? And so one of those is that I'm always looking to do different things. Do you know that bright, shiny object, right?
I
So
do.
do like, oh, that's like, oh, that's,
Yep.
right? And so one of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to find happiness and joy and peace, right? Because we're learning new things and we're experiencing life to its fullest. And what happens is you never finish anything because you know the expression FOMO is real, fear of missing out, right? So the restless saboteur is just like, oh, but you got to try this. And because of that, you never go deeper into something.
Mm.
Because of that, one of the things you want to have is great relationships. You don't have time to have great relationships because you don't spend time with people, because you're always moving on to something else. And a lot of the people can't even keep up with you. And so on the one hand, you think, oh, this is going to get me happiness because I'm trying all these things. And on the other hand, that's the lie of the saboteur, because it's stopping you from having what you're really trying to get.
This is really deep. So if you can get this, she's not wrong, put in hashtag she's not wrong in the chat box, because it's one of those things where you can be like, oh, I'm a social butterfly and I like a lot of relationships and I have 5,000 friends on Facebook and people like me, right? And then really, what are you doing on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday afternoon or evening or whatever to spend your time? Do you have friends that you have deep relationship with where you can really count on them to be there, not only for the fun times, but also during the times that you're really in struggle? So if you got, put hashtag she's not wrong in the chat box. Thank you so much for that. Denise says, so true. And social media can be such a distraction. I take regular social media breaks, probably a really smart move to do. Denise says, I use a tool that I teach in Positive Parties workshop. Take the negative voice, your own voice, and change it to Mickey Mouse's voice. And then we have to laugh and have the awareness to reframe our thoughts. That's really, really cool idea. Like just make that voice. And I think Tanya Gill actually has a name for her negative voice as well. I don't know if she's on this one, but yep, you can name it and be like, that's the negative voice. And then just play with it a little bit, like it's its own little character in your life. Very, very powerful stuff.
And I completely agree with you. When you change it to the Mickey Mouse voice, what you're doing is you're putting a scratch in that old voice so that it's not as effective as it was before. And so you can keep scratching that voice and scratching that voice when you hear it. And that lessens the impact and lessens the impact and lessens the impact. And once you've lessened the impact in that particular place, what often happens is that when you get to something new, that voice comes up again and you're like, oh, this is a new saboteur. But in many cases, it's the same old saboteur showing up in a different way. And when you really understand the lies of that saboteur, then you can go, oh, perfect Penelope is back. Okay.
Well,
that was perfect Penelope.
Thank you for sharing. And I'm going to move on now, right? Yeah. Oh,
yes.
yeah.
And you can choose something different. And so really what we want to do is we want to get insight into those voices. And I name mine too. I have Perfect Penelope. I have Mad Marjorie. I have like all of these different voices that I've named. And I know when they come up that, okay, this is a situation which is creating some kind of fear in me. Therefore, the voice is up there to protect me. And now I get to find out, do I need that protection or not? And the problem is that in the beginning, that voice was helpful, but now it's our excuse that stops us from moving forward.
So the saboteur and the excuse are aligned or the same thing?
They're aligned and they can be the same thing, depending on how you decide to look at it. So the saboteur has a voice, and that voice gives you permission to not do something. So there's a lot of people out there that have the avoider saboteur, right? And the avoider saboteur is like, oh no, I want peace. I want like things to be good. So I'm just not going to go there.
Yeah,
right?
I've heard that.
So that's the avoider saboteur. And what happens is that people are like, well, I don't even know if I can trust that person to tell me the truth because they're always avoiding me. They're never true with their feelings. They walk away because there's a lot of people that want to talk about things and work them out so that there's clarity. But the avoider is like, no, I don't need to be around that person. They're all kind of, they're going to like make everyone feel bad. I don't want to feel bad. Right. And so you have the excuses to step back and not engage in that relationship. And when you don't engage in that relationship, what you want most, which is deep connected relationships, you don't get.
Oh, did she freeze? Or did
Nope.
I freeze? Oh, okay, you're back. Okay. I don't know if you froze or I froze, but I was like, wait, I want to hear the rest of that. Okay, great. A lot of people have the voice like, it's not good. You're not good enough, right? Like, or if you can get past that one, Brene Brown says, if you can get past that one, then the next one's ready to punch you right in the face, which is, who the hell do you think you are? Right? Who do you think you are to be doing this? right?
Yeah.
So what about those saboteurs?
Oh, those saboteurs are so strong. And some of the other ways in which they show up is, for example, you have the opportunity to speak on a summit and you say, oh, I'm not going to speak on a summit because what do I have to say? Right? Or I'm not going to speak on a summit because I need to go through 5 more years of college or university or a certification program, right?
Certification get you.
And
Yeah.
then I'll have enough information in order to do it. So there's some people whose saboteurs are all about learning and rationalization, right? And so they have to do all of that before they can step out, right? And make them, and here's the lie. If you want to grow, if you want to be your best, then you have to step out and fail, because without doing that, you don't learn, right?
So that's really scary, but I agree with you because I went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, go Mustangs, and their motto was learn by doing, right? Like get out there and do it. You don't learn to milk a cow by reading it in a book. You go milk a cow and you're like, aha, I got this now. I figured it out, right? So yes, and you could probably fail milking the cow, but then you get it right eventually. So yes, I totally love this. All right, well, unfortunately, we're running out of time, so I want to get to your free gift. You actually have a way for us to break this excuse pattern. Is that right? So tell us about that.
Absolutely. So understanding the saboteurs is about 20% of what you do. In order to change that habit, you have to stop and you have to shift so that you could choose a wiser choice. You can respond differently. And so the free guide that I have is Break the Excuse Pattern. And it's called Building Your Mental Fitness with the Self-Command Muscle. So while 20% is that insight, right? We name our saboteurs, we get that awareness. 80% of behavioral change is about building that mental fitness muscle. And so this guide teaches you how to build that mental fitness muscle when you hear that saboteur voice. And you can do this in as little as 10 seconds. You could do it in 30 seconds. You can take longer, but you can do it in the middle of any situation where that saboteur voice comes up. And as you build that muscle stronger and stronger, you'll be able to shift as that negative voice pops up in all of its different permutations. And so that's what this guide does, is it shows you how to make that shift.
And then camping on top of that, building on that, your VIP gift is this dream of yours, is this your dream or the dream of your saboteur speaking? So then you can go ahead and grab that. Virginia says, this is all really scary because I'm an Enneagram 6 to the bone and security is really big for me.
Yes.
Yep, all struggle with it. Whether you're a 6, I'm an 8. I've got like lots of people and are different categories, but this one really seems to resonate with a lot of folks. So if you want to figure out how to get your dream straight, that it's you in your dream, rather than, oh, my parents want me to graduate, my parents want me to become a doctor, my my friends think I would be really good at this, and people tell me I should do these things, and the critics out there say blah blah blah, or the news is telling me like, stop, those are all like not your dream. So I love the idea that Renee is going to get us focused on our own dream, what's good for us.
Yes. So I hope people go ahead and pick that up. It's a $297 group course. It's a combination of a mastermind and really analyzing your saboteurs. And it's a 4-week life course.
Fantastic. All right. So you guys got to grab that, just upgrade to VIP, and you can it's totally worth the price of VIP just for Renee's gift. Plus you get the recordings and you get all the speakers, any that you missed, plus you'll get Renee's recording again, and you'll be able to get all the gifts from all of the speakers that contributed. Up next, we have Cheryl Faye Stelz. She's going to talk about becoming the energy healer you were born to be. I love this. And then Sue Horowitz, set yourself up to succeed at every transition, which is also super powerful. I don't know which one you're going to choose, but before we let you go, Renee, any final words for our crew?
Yes, I just want to say that you have the choice. You can choose your saboteurs, or you could choose to live your truth.
Beautiful words to live by. All right, which one will you choose? I'm Kimberly Crow. We'll see you back at the bottom of the hour. Cheers.
Thank you for joining us for another amazing session of the Positive Shift Summit. For recordings of all sessions, plus an amazing VIP gift bundle, upgrade to VIP now. If you have any questions or problems during the summit, email our support team at support@erfsummit.com. Stay tuned. We have another fantastic speaker coming right up.